No one has seen Anna Walshe since New Year's Day 2023, but she certainly made her presence felt in this courtroom as police showed evidence of her death as collected from a dumpster.
January 1st, 2023. A mother of three vanishes without a trace after a quiet New Year's dinner with her husband. Her phone? Silent. Her luggage? Still at home. Her rideshare to the airport never happened. But her husband had a story. A simple story. She flew to Washington, D.C. for work. Everything was normal. Everything was fine. Except none of it was true. What police discovered in the days that followed would expose one of the most calculated cover-ups in recent memory. A trail of Google searches, bloodstains that wouldn't wash away, and a husband whose lies unraveled faster than he could tell them. This is the story of Anna Walshe and the man who tried to make her disappear forever. Anna Walshe was living what seemed like a picture-perfect life. The 39-year-old mother worked as a real estate executive in Washington, D.C., splitting her time between the nation's capital and her family home in Cohasset, Massachusetts, a wealthy coastal town about 20 miles south of Boston. She and Brian had 3 young sons. To neighbors, they appeared to be just another busy family navigating the challenges of work and parenthood. But beneath the surface, cracks were forming. Brian had a criminal past. In 2021, he'd been convicted of fraud, selling fake Andy Warhol paintings for hundreds of thousands of dollars. He was awaiting sentencing, confined to his home with an ankle monitor.
So Brian Walshe was convicted of fraud, accused of stealing a friend's Warhol paintings and selling those paintings as well as fake versions of them. Now, when victims tried to hold him accountable, he stopped taking their calls. These are the fake Andy Warhol paintings that Brian Walshe sold a California art dealer as real for $80,000.
Anna, meanwhile, was the breadwinner. She was successful, independent, and, according to friends, starting to plan for a future that might not include her husband. New Year's Day 2023 started like any other holiday. Anna and Brian reportedly had dinner together with their children. It was quiet, ordinary. And then Anna Walshe vanished. On January 4th, Brian Walshe called the police. He reported his wife missing. His story was straightforward. Anna had taken a rideshare to Boston's Logan Airport early on January 1st. She flew to D.C. for work emergency. He hadn't heard from her since, but he assumed she was busy. Her employer, however, told a different story. Anna never showed up to work. She never boarded a flight. In fact, there was no evidence she'd left the house at all. Police began to investigate. When investigators arrived at the Walshe home, they started piecing together Anna's final hours. They checked rideshare records. No trip to the airport. They examined flight manifests. Her name wasn't on any of them. They pulled security footage from Logan Airport. She never arrived. Brian's story was falling apart before it even got off the ground. Then came the first major discovery. Anna's phone, credit cards, and personal belongings were still at the house. Her luggage was there too. For a woman who supposedly left for an urgent work trip, she'd taken nothing with her. Investigators pressed Brian for more details. He changed his story multiple times. First, he said he hadn't seen her leave. Then he said maybe she took an Uber. Then he admitted he didn't actually know how she got to the airport. He just assumed. The inconsistencies piled up, and then police found something that made Brian a prime suspect. Surveillance footage from January 1st showed Brian leaving his home, not Anna. He was captured on camera visiting several locations, a Home Depot, a hardware store, and then a dumpster behind a shopping plaza.
It was cash.
Brian Walshe seen on surveillance footage buying a hacksaw, hammer, and various cleaning items at a Lowe's in Danvers. Jurors also seen clips of Walsh at a Walgreens in Cohasset, a Stop and Shop in Swampscott, and a CVS in Danvers.
5 bottles of hydrogen peroxide spray and a Roundup for Feed America.
Then behind a liquor store he visited often, tossing a bag in the dumpster.
What was he throwing away? Police obtained a search warrant for the Walsh home. What they discovered inside would chill investigators to the bone. Blood in the basement, in the couple's bedroom, spattered on walls and soaked into carpet. Investigators found evidence that someone had tried desperately to clean it up. But blood doesn't lie, and forensic testing revealed it was Anna's. Then came the most damning evidence of all, Brian Walsh's Google search history. In the days before and after Anna disappeared, Brian had been busy on his computer, searching, planning, covering his tracks. Here's what investigators
Police found dozens of internet searches for best ways to dispose of a body, how long for someone to be missing, inheritance, how long does DNA last, how to saw a body, can you identify a body with broken teeth, and more.
The searches painted a horrifying picture. This wasn't a sudden act of violence. This was premeditated, calculated. But there was more. Police tracked down the dumpsters Brian had visited on January 1st. Trash collection had already happened, so they went to the transfer station where the waste was processed.
Among the evidence shown to the jury, Anna Walsh's clothes, a jacket, boots. They found her slippers, a pocketbook, headphones, her car keys. Also in the dumpster, pieces of a bloody rug. The rug similar to one seen in this picture of Anna, taken in the living room of their Cohasset home.
Each piece of evidence tightened the noose around Brian Walsh. But there was one critical problem. Anna's body was never found. On January 8th, 2023, just 1 week after Anna disappeared, Brian Walsh was arrested and charged with misleading investigators. But prosecutors weren't done. As evidence mounted, the charges escalated. On January 18th, Brian was charged with murder, first-degree murder, even without a body. In court, prosecutors laid out their case piece by piece: the blood evidence, the searches, the attempts to dispose of evidence, the lies. Brian's defense team argued that without a body, there was no definitive proof Anna was dead. Maybe she'd run away. Maybe she'd staged her own disappearance. But the evidence was overwhelming. The prosecution presented testimony from forensic experts who confirmed the blood in the home was
The DNA
Anna's.
profile from this item is at least 30 nonillion times more likely if it originated from Anna Walsh than if it originated from an unknown, unrelated individual, and this provides support for inclusion of Anna Walsh.
They showed jurors the disturbing Google searches. They walked them through Brian's movements on January 1st, the hardware store purchases, the trash disposal, the cover-up. One particularly chilling detail emerged during the trial. Brian had purchased $450 worth of cleaning supplies at Home Depot on January 2nd, the day after Anna disappeared. Tarps, mops, buckets. Everything you'd need to clean up a crime scene. The digital footprint was undeniable. The physical evidence was damning, and Brian's lies had buried him. On conviction date, the jury delivered their verdict: guilty, first-degree murder.
A first-degree murder. Brian Walsh now faces life in prison without the possibility of parole. We'll learn much more about that sentencing on Wednesday.
Person. In the matter of the Commonwealth versus Brian Walsh, Norfolk Superior Court Criminal Indictment Number 2023-0091. As to count 1, wherein the defendant Brian Walsh is charged with murder in the first degree, what say the jury? Is the defendant guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
Guilty of what, sir?
Murder in the first degree.
Murder in the first degree, so say you, Mr. Foreperson.
I do.
Guilty of murder in the first degree, so say all deliberating jurors.
I do.
Brian Walshe was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. He maintained his innocence, but the evidence spoke louder than his words. Anna Walsh's body has never been recovered. Her 3 young sons are now without both parents, their mother gone, their father imprisoned for her murder. Friends described Anna as vibrant, loving, and devoted to her children. She had dreams, plans, a whole life ahead of her. But on New Year's Day, 2023, all of that was taken from her. The case highlights how modern technology, Google searches, surveillance cameras, cell phone records, can expose even the most carefully planned crimes. Brian thought he could create the perfect lie. He thought he could make Anna disappear without a trace. But he left digital breadcrumbs everywhere, and those breadcrumbs led straight to a murder conviction. Today, Anna's family continues to search for answers. They want to know where she is. They want to bring her home. They want justice, not just in a courtroom, but in finding her and laying her to rest with dignity. The Anna Walshe case is a reminder that in the digital age, there are no perfect crimes, only imperfect criminals who believe they're smarter than they are. And sometimes the most dangerous lies are the ones we tell ourselves. If you or someone you know is experiencing domestic violence, please reach out for help. The National Domestic Violence Hotline is available 24/7 at 1-800-799-7233. Anna Walshe deserved better. She deserved to watch her children grow up. She deserved to live. This was her story. Like and subscribe for more stories. Thank you for watching.